What's up, everybody? Back with our NFL picks in week 9. Want to give Sliwa a special shout out for filling in for me last week when I couldn't make it because of work. So that was huge. Made some real good picks too. So hopefully we can keep that going this week in week 9. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe if you're enjoying the content and using it, especially, and let us know in the comment section what you think of our picks and what you're taking yourself. So Sliwa, really good card this week, especially your straight bets. That's got to be probably more of our MO moving forward. Walk me through, what went well here for you.
Yeah, definitely. As everybody knows who's been watching the videos recently, I've been high on the Seahawks. They were my hot take to make the playoffs when they're at 2-3, now sitting at 5-3, looking really strong, and just also a fade on the Giants there. And then the Panthers plus 6.5 just felt like too much against this Falcons team. Also,
Yeah.
just heartbreaker on the DJ Moore penalty.
Ooh.
And then Vikings, good matchup against the Cardinals. Just take advantage of that secondary, and they pulled out the win too here. And then even the teaser looks pretty good. Besides the Rams, who just
I
absolutely
love,
put in the second half.
second matchup against the Niners at home. Debo Samuel out. I know they got CMC, the Niners do now, but I really thought this was a game the Rams step up and at least compete in. And they did to start the game. I think Cooper Cup's ankle injury had a little bit to play there too. But we move on. We'll take our units so we can get them, Slee. Good stuff. So we'll talk about a first game in our card this week. We got the Raiders, who just got shut out, goose egg in New Orleans, flying to Jacksonville now, taking on the Jaguars, who was at one point my hot take to win the division. And I should have known you don't bet against Mike Vrabel, but that's for another time. Sneema, what do you think in this matchup here?
Yeah, no, I mean spread definitely indicates this is going to be a closer matchup. And with the Raiders on the road, even they are favoring Las Vegas here. Personally, I don't. I think both these teams are not that very good. Obviously, the record indicates it, but I do think the Raiders, and I've been saying it the last few weeks here, are just a really bad football team. Um, Obviously, they have some big name guys, but the rest of their roster is just filled with holes. I think they're really just gonna continue the season out at the bottom of that division. I don't necessarily love the Jags. Trevor Lawrence looked awful against the Broncos, but I do think they have a little bit better of an overall team. What about you, Woj?
Yeah, and this is out of all the picks we had this week, this is probably my least favorite. I still stand by it, but I like the Jags plus 1.5 here at home. I think that I don't know the intangibles, and I think this team has a little bit more to play for. Just in they're trying to improve versus the Raiders are a team that's bad, that's getting worse year after year. Like they're going downhill, where the Jaguars have a lot of things to improve on, hang their hats on, even in losses. Looking at the PFF, statistics and rankings, these teams are extremely similar in just about everything. Overall, they're together 20 and 21 respectively in the overall rankings. Very similar, just grades and a lot of fields that I think matter. I think the matchup you can get here is a suspect Raiders offensive line protecting the pass. I think that is something that will be useful for the Jaguars. But at the same time, Raiders got some good pass rushers too. I think it's gonna be a really close game, and I like being on the plus side of the points for a home team against two bad teams. I think that's just a good rule of thumb. Where coin flip game, home team that's they definitely have a home field advantage in Jacksonville. Usually it's more so against AFC South opponents, but home field advantage is real for them. And I think they might pull this one out in a game where you're gonna see a lot of running between ETN and Jacobs, who both looked outstanding the last few weeks. So it's really gonna be what quarterback can step up. I'm hoping that Trevor Lawrence can get it done at home with a little bit edge on defense for the Jaguars this game. Moving to the next one, we got the Chargers off their bye week with the Falcons, who are extremely lucky to have a win last week and be sitting at on top of the NFC South standings. Sliwa, I'll let you start out with this one, and I will let you know what I think.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Atlanta got very lucky last week. Emotional win in overtime, and then the Chargers coming off the bye, definitely needed it. They've been battling injuries all season here, so I think that bye week means a little bit more to this Los Angeles Chargers team. And even sitting at 4-3, I think they've been pretty disappointing on the year. People had them as some of their Super Bowl picks and whatnot, but I
Yeah.
still think they're a really good team overall, and this matchup could be just what they need to get back on track here. So we've even hit the last 2 weeks fading the Falcons after their undefeated record against the spread. So just kind of betting against that regression has done really well for us. And I also think
It's a really
Herbert
good point.
has a great advantage here. The Atlanta Falcons have the 26th ranked secondary in the league, and they've also only generated 12 sacks through 8 games. I just think Herbert's going to have the time he needs, and obviously that's a pass-heavy offense. I like the Chargers a lot here to prove to 5-3 in that tough division, and to just have Atlanta continually just really just play more down to their actual level. They're overperforming just about every category. I remember looking at PFF and they're top team, or top half in overall and like top 5 in offense. And I just don't think that's what they have on that roster.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You touched on a lot of things that I wanted came in. I want to disagree with you here, but really like that point about the regression to the mean with just Atlanta covering. That's a great point. But I don't like this that much personally, and I'm thinking when I've seen all the Chargers this year, I have not liked that. Really, they should be 3-4 just against the Browns. That should have been a loss. I don't think they're very well coached, and I honestly have liked what I've seen out of the Falcons this year in a lot of different aspects. They're really playing good team football and definitely more than the sum of their parts. But going to your point, their secondary is very suspect, and that's how the Chargers are going to beat you. I'm looking right now, 6th worst passing coverage grade in all football. So they are a top 10 overall team in PFF, but that could be just them overachieving. I think this game, your side, the side you choose is your perception of these teams. I personally am giving up on the Chargers this year, in terms of being like a really good team. I don't like what they see. I don't think they're well coached. They don't play to their talent level. And I am buying in a little bit to the Falcons. And I'm not saying I like Falcons +3 here, but I think our view of these teams are the opposite. I think the Chargers are playing more towards their true self and being bad, and the Falcons are playing more towards their true self and being decent, at least. That's all I'm saying. But I think the regression to the mean point, and the Falcons secondary.
The Falcons almost just lost to the Panthers. Like they should have.
Divisional games are different, man. Divisional games are so different. The Panthers just beat the
I
Bucks.
like very favorable matchup for Herbert.
I think the Chargers do match up well, come off a bye. Any word on Keenan Allen? Do we know what's going on with him this game?
Not sure yet about Keenan Allen.
I'm taking a look right now.
Be a big pickup.
He is not practicing today, so that'll be a big. I'm sure he's gonna be a game time decision.
I'm taking it under the assumption that he doesn't play.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's probably the right assumption to make. But we'll see what happens here. You've been hot. That's why I'm not taking anything off the board for you. You've been lights out with your picks. So I'm riding with you here, man. Okay, then moving on to our next game, we got the Vikings, who I knew they were good. I didn't know they were this good. 6-1 versus the Commanders, who are lucky to get out of Indy with a win. That was insane. And just shake my head still. I'll start off with this one and I'll pass it off to you. For me, this game has moved Sleewa, I think, just to straight up -3 now. So
Really?
I'm not positive of that. I think it's -3. To me, right away, trap game. You're telling me this team, the Vikings, who in just about every metric, whoever you talk to, whatever tools you're using, are a top 5 team, in terms of record, in terms of grades, everything, goes on the road against a team that I think is very bad in the Commanders, only being 3.5 point favorites. That says trap game to me. That automatically makes me start to like the Commanders. 2, I love the fire that Taylor Heineke lights on his team's ass. Love it. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. He's fundamentally still flawed. It's the reason he played in the XFL. But he's a winner. He's got grit, and he's doing it for him. I really like that too. I think when you look at it past the surface level of record and talent, that this Washington team matches up well against the Vikings because of the fact that they only have to rush 4 people, much like the Bills do. They have a really good defensive line. They only got to rush 4 to create pressure on the quarterback. We all know that Kirk Cousins, through Washington of the year, does not do well against pressure. And then you get 7 guys in coverage to try to stop Justin Jefferson, who's the best receiver in the game. Stopping him is impossible, but limiting him is definitely possible when you get 7 guys back in coverage and certainly a safety over the top to help. So I like the Commanders matchup here. I probably wouldn't have taken it 3.5 until you flashed to me, Sliwa, and then it made me start to think that this is a really good pick. This is your pick, so I'll let you talk more about
Yeah,
it. I'll wait and
yeah.
get
I
one of
mean,
your
you
points.
hit on a ton of my points already here. Loved a lot of everything that you said. Just to add on to it, though, the Vikings obviously 6-1. I do think another sort of play on regression here. They're obviously a very good team, but I don't know if they're 6-1 type top 3 NFL team here. So obviously they're playing great, passing the ball a lot this year. The new head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean they've looked great. I think they're due for a bit of a letdown here on the road, like you mentioned, trap game. You would not really expect maybe a 3.5 point game here, but the Commanders have won their last 3, not maybe against the best talent. So some question there, but I've been thinking he's coming back the last few weeks. You could even see Chase Young return here. That'd be a massive boost for this pass rush and
That would
just
be
Kirk
huge.
Cousins uh, in that pass offense because this team, like we mentioned, they're pass heavy. Washington a little bit better in coverage than they are against the run. And then
Mm-hmm.
even on top of that, you have the Vikings, who defensively right now, according to PFF, they have the top ranked rush defense. I think that's mitigated a little bit here by Washington just opting to pass the ball much more with Heineke.
Yeah,
They're
they're
set
not
up
they're not a running
receivers.
team. And to your point too, Vikings have a bottom 5 coverage defense. So
Exactly. That's where it
again,
goes.
it doesn't make sense when you look at it from really far out. But when you start to zoom in, you see that the Washington matches up pretty well against this Vikings team. I think 3, I'd stay away. 3.5, I love
Yeah.
because it just doesn't make sense. I was talking about it in my Survivor video. If I were to set a line of this game, it would be at least 4, probably 4.5. So to see it be a lot closer than I think, I know I'm missing something. I think it's gonna be a close game, and these guys are balling out in Washington.
Yeah, I
So
might be wrong, but when I initially grabbed this one here in my notes, it was even 4.5. So
I'm
this one
not,
might
no,
have,
I'm probably wrong then. I'm definitely wrong.
might
So
have shifted quite a bit.
I love it. I think it's a really good pick. That is close to our lock just because I think I really like what you're thinking there. Talking about last year's NFC Championship rematch. Both teams sliding recently and have not looked good, and certainly not like they did last year. The Rams 3-point favorites on the road against the Bucks. Both teams don't look great on really any side of the football, any dimension of football. Especially if Cooper Kupp is out this game. It's going to be very interesting. Sliwa, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously both teams have not looked well with all the aging they've done in these last couple seasons. Just not really been able to keep the talent. Obviously, with either trading away picks or just with how late they have been in the drafts. But looking here, as bad as the Rams have been, they still have, according to the metrics, a top 5 defense in the league. The Bucks can't say the same with the 20th, and LA has the
Yeah,
worst or the third worst pass blocking in the league. It's been driving Stafford absolutely nuts. But I checked the stats here. Tampa does have quite a bit of sacks, but according to PFF, their pass rush grade it's pretty low. This might be a bit better of a matchup than you would initially
yeah,
think.
you're right. They're the third worst pass rushing grade in
Yeah.
football.
So I think
I
Stafford
mean,
might have a little bit more time than just initially thinking here. And obviously the Bucks looked awful. We didn't pick them, but we had a pretty good read leading with the Ravens last week. Um,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think there's some good things here looking at the numbers, just going the Rams way. And I mean nothing's for sure obviously yet, but McVay did have a statement that he does think Cooper Cup will be on the
I'm
Sunday.
looking up. He's expected to play. So barring a setback, Cups on the field. That's huge. Um, it's hard for me to say like this one just because Tom Brady. If everything numbers, metrics, smarts related says I like the Rams here, but Tom Brady to lose what 4 straight now just is hard for me to subscribe to. But that's the only defense I have. Otherwise, I think everything you said makes perfect sense. I think the reason that the Bucks are able to generate so many sacks with the poor pass rushing grade is because they blitz a lot. Todd Bowles loves blitzing, but that's where Stafford strives. His numbers, you look at last year's playoff run, The numbers that he put up were not against people sitting back in zone. He did really good when his receivers were in one-on-one matchups and when the defense blitzed. So that plays to their strength. That certainly plays to Cooper Kupp's strength that is going to win any single one-on-one matchup he gets. So it's going to be interesting to see. And also, just to throw it on your radar, the Rams are, it's not going to happen this week. If he does, probably won't be too impactful. But the Rams are talking and trading for Akers and a pick for Montgomery to the Bears.
Or potentially even Kareem Hunt.
I would love that. Kareem Hunt, honestly, both of those running backs would be just so much of an upgrade for them. They definitely need running backs, and both those guys. We're obviously biased to Montgomery because we watch them so much, but I think either of those guys would make a huge difference in this team.
Would be really nice, but still
Second worst front team
here, regardless. Also, just gonna leave with one more point. The Bucs have only scored more than 22 points once this season. I think it could easily be a close game. Give me the +3.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to. I know it's obviously hard to bet against Brady whenever, but like it's hard to not look at the numbers when he's getting this old. He's not exactly the Brady that we know.
No, you're so right. The numbers here make sense. And I'm looking, Rams have the second worst running game in football. The Buccaneers are the only team that are worse than them. So two teams that can't run the football, but the Rams have such a big edge in terms of this season on defense. Like you said, still top 5 defense. You still got Jalen Ramsey. You got Aaron Donald versus a team in the Bucs defense that has been very much underperforming. So everything points to Rams +3 being a great pick here. It says, when will Tom Brady get out of his funk and his offense get out of their funk? If it's this game, then we're going to be wrong. But if things go the way they're going, the Rams +3 looks like a really good pick here. So I like that a lot from you. Final game on our card here. Green Bay -3. Started at 3.5, moved to -3. So public already on the Lions. 3-point favorites on the road in Detroit. I'll let you go first. I know you know my pick here, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean this one's been tough for me to take a side. I've still been because I've been losing a little bit here and there on the Packers, thinking they're going to bounce back. I'm waiting for it. Looks like they could maybe stay in that game last night, but obviously the Bills are just too dominant. On the other end, the Lions are starting to get a little more healthy, but that defense is just awful. Pretty sure they just fired their offensive coordinator, one of their coordinators. So things just, even with all the hype, things have just not been able to turn around in Detroit.
Yeah.
What do you got, Woj?
So I'm on Green Bay -3 here. And there's a few reasons why. This wasn't a pick until a late ad because I really liked the way they played on Sunday Night Football, honestly. They were never going to win that game. I think even Rodgers knew that. He said, like, this is just what our team needs. We're playing the best team in football on national television. Like, we're going to get exposed. That might be the kick in the pants this team needs. And for them to go out and play as well as they did impress me. They picked off Josh Allen a couple times. Their defense stood pretty well, except when Diggs was lighting them up. But otherwise, solid defense to limit the Bills to 27 points. What really impressed me, not even impressed me, they needed this. Romeo Doubs, someone had to step up at wide receiver. Someone had to start making plays. They got that out of him that game. I'm hoping that can be repeated because before that, no one but not named Aaron Jones could catch a ball on this team. It's driving me crazy. And like you, I haven't done the best. I'm betting on the Packers here, hoping them to bounce back, but they're not. I think this is a good game for them to bounce back and break the skid. Also, and this you're gonna like this point. The Lions, when they play good defenses, they don't show up. Talk about it with the Patriots. The Patriots' good defense is going to stop them. Talked about it against the Cowboys, and now they got another good defense in Green Bay that just showed us on Monday night they're going to play really well, even against an insane offense like Buffalo. So all those points being that good defense because it's Lions offense. When push comes to shove, the good defense beats Jared Goff, it seems like, in his career. We've had nothing up to this point his entire career to make us say anything different. And when Rodgers starts doing these little media quotes too, he starts talking and started to bounce back a little bit. I think it's a good time for the Packers to beat their divisional opponent that's been their younger brother for his whole career.
Yeah, no, I mean I like the defensive stat there a lot because you're absolutely right. When they face a top 10, top 5 defense, they do not come to play. Basically get shut out even. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
like
tough to back Goff in this one. Would lean Packers. Wasn't my bet, yours, but if, I do agree with the reasoning on
and
this
you're
one.
gonna love it, Sleeper, because I made it the lock.
There you go.
I'm telling, dude. You saw Aaron Jones in this team. David Bakhtiari's back last week on Sunday. They run all over Buffalo. What are they going to do when they run? They're going to run all over Detroit. It's going to be. I'm very confident in this one. If when I want everyone watching to quote me on this, YouTube see it. If they don't cover this one, we're not betting the rest of the year. I'm not betting the rest. You can bet them, but I'm not allowed to. So here's our card. I like the Jags to win here at home against the Raiders. I just think, and maybe I'm too close to the Jags, and this is our this year Washington football team, but I like him here. Chargers, you made some good points too. I think they match up well. I'm just a little scared of how well I'm seeing Atlanta play. Commanders 3.5, definitely a trap game here for the Vikings. Love that side. Rams with their defense over the Bucks, I like it a lot. And then I'm telling you, the Packers, man, I'm just they got to do it. This is the week. I'm telling you.
Revenge week. We got to hit that
I
line.
think I think Packers -10 is a good bet this week. I think they destroy them. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are going to each get a billion yards. A billion. Moving on to another NFC North team, we got the Bears hosting the Dolphins after trading away Roquan Smith, who I think is their best player. I don't know if anyone can challenge me on that. I'd be surprised if anyone did. So clearly trying to rebuild and get some draft picks to build this team around Justin Fields, who's going to be their guy until you'll see what happens. But what do you think here? Because I certainly lean to one side.
Yeah, I think we're leaning the same way on this one, but the Bears just showing their cards here. They're unloading on defense before the trade deadline. I like, as a Bears fan, I like the moves, but they're
Same.
definitely not going to finish the season strong here. Maybe they'll pick up a win or two here later in the weeks, but like losing your top two defensive players, your veterans, I think Tua and the Miami offense will just absolutely light them up. I do not think the Bears will even come close to winning this game.
So I'm on the Dolphins. I think I'm going to be a little surprised the Bears output this game offensively. I think they're going to put up some points. I think the Dolphins cover this 4.5. But just now I start to think I like this over at 44.5. I think the Dolphins are going to put up I think the Dolphins can do a Cowboys and put up 44, 45 points themselves. But I mean, the Bears impressed me last week at how well they play against this really good Cowboys defense. I was talking to Mark, and I'm like, this is for me a moral win. I think the Bears, I'm taking away a win, really good things on offense against the Cowboys. We were never going to win that game. We were never going to win that game. Justin Fields looks solid. You made some people are making plays. He's always going to be the key playmaker in this offense until we get more talent. But putting up 29 points against that team made me very happy. This Dolphins defense is not nearly as good as that, especially in secondary. So we'll see what happens with the Bears. I don't think they cover. I think they keep it close to start the game. Miami's going to pull away with Tua and Tyreek, but I think the over. I'm really starting to like the over here. I'm talking myself into it for sure. The Bears do not have a great defense this year. Obviously, trading away Roquan Smith. Like, I'm expecting 30 points in the Dolphins this game. I'm surprised this over is this low. I don't know.
Good move.
I think I like the over here. Okay, moving on and keeping in mind, Juice should be going a little bit faster, but it's a lot of buys this week. Colts, 5.5 point dogs on the road against the Patriots. Line open at 6.5, so moving towards the Colts here a little bit. But I honestly think the 6.5 points is justified just because of young, inexperienced backup quarterbacks going into New England. That is never what you want. And I was a little bit wrong about the Bears and Justin Fields going into New England. They definitely surprised me, but I don't think I'm wrong twice about this one, especially with the way the Colts offensive line has been performing this year. Jonathan Taylor can't do anything because the holes aren't there that they used to be. And whoever's at quarterback has no time. These guys have one of, if not the lowest pass blocking grades in all of football. It's in terrible. Belichick's going to figure it out. And he started to figure it out against Zach Wilson. I expect to see a similar Zach Wilson-esque performance from Sam Ellinger in this game. I really like the Patriots, at least to win here. Under City in this game, though. Under City. Even 39 is too high. These teams are good defenses. It's
It's
gonna
gonna be a
be.
boring game for sure.
Well, I'm not watching it, but we'll talk about it next week. What do you think here?
Yeah, no, I mean, when I first looked at this line, I my first inclination was I love the Colts, and then I started looking into the numbers a bit more, and it just did not seem like a smart bet at all. Almost everything favored the Patriots here.
Yeah.
Obviously, the line indicates that, but I do think the Patriots should be able to dominate this game. My one worry is though the Patriots at quarterback, Mac Jones has not looked very good. I almost kind of wanted to put Zap back in,
Oh,
but
I thought he should have been in.
I don't.
I'm on
I
the
would love
Zappy
for
train.
them to figure that out, but yeah, I mean, Patriots are a better team.
The thing is, for this like a head coach and team continuity standpoint, you got to pick a quarterback and stick with it. You can't keep flip flopping. It just doesn't work. In terms of just like chemistry with players and team morale, everything. So you got to pick a side. I think it's probably the right move to go with Mac Jones, just because he's at least
For
experienced.
now.
And but I want Zappy too. I wish he was out there. So we'll see. And bad game for Mac Jones here, which he's definitely liable to have against a pretty solid Colts defense. I think he gets pulled the plug on for the year. So probably his make or break game. No need to talk about this one too much. Eagles 13-point favorites against the Texans. And I think that number might be climbing, inching closer to like the minus 120 range at the very least. This is a Thursday night game too, especially when you don't get time to prepare. The talent disparity is really going to show. Just Eagles look unstoppable, and the record shows that. But like AJ Brown, who's long time been my favorite receiver in football, and if not favorite player, has been balling out. I love it. They just look like a brand new team, and every dimension of football is clicking for them. And it's about the exact opposite for the Texans. I mean, blowout game, as the spread implies.
Not to mention Robert Quinn went to the Eagles. They just got even better. I mean, this team.
Hey, and just on that topic, I love the Bears unloading getting draft picks. I think it's exactly what they should be doing. But yeah, give them another pass rusher. They already have a very stout run defense with guys like Fletcher Cox and rookie Jordan Davis playing tackle. Get a guy that can rush the passer. Like they're making the right moves, and that's like I love it. And they're already a top 5 ranked pass rushing team.
Oh yeah,
They're
no,
great. So
they're solid all around. I mean, not something we're taking, but I would lean with the Eagles here to
yeah, no,
win.
it's too high to take, but I love it. Um, moving on here, we got another huge spread game. Bills, Jets. You think Zach Wilson struggling against the Patriots defense? I think he's going to against the Bills defense too. Steve, I got to get up for a second, but take over this team right now.
So we got Buffalo heading to New York. Buffalo obviously just taking care of business last night against the Packers. Then Zach Wilson really just looking pretty awful in the last one. People still are high on the Jets, at least some. Tough team to read, but obviously the spread indicates here that the Bills are just on a different level. What do you think here? What?
Yeah, there's not much to it. It's a huge spread for a reason. It'd be shocking if they lost this game. I'd be shocked if there's in single digits the outcome. Um, I think, maybe not. That's a little stretch. But I think divisional opponent on the road, good defensive minded head coach, they could find a way to keep it closer. But I'd just be shocked if Zach Wilson can outduel Josh Allen, plain and simple. Another, big spread. There's been a good handful of big spreads this game, this
Not the
week. I'm
best.
sorry.
Not the
Um,
best matchup this week.
yeah, yeah. With the Bengals here, started at 9 point, moving 8.5, which I think is justifiable, especially after their dud against the Browns, which I kind of saw coming, but I didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on. I think this Bengals team is good, not great. And I think the Panthers offense is terrible, but they have a really, really good defense. And for me, that makes me partial to the plus 8.5 here. I think their defense is really balling out, honestly. They have so much talent. I wish they had any resemblance of a quarterback because I think this team has potential.
Yeah,
But they're in
Walker
such a
like
rebuild mode.
better than Baker.
Yeah, I know. He has been. No, I agree with that. They're just in such a rebuild mode that like if their talent defense is going to waste, they should just trade him to, or they just got to, or pay up big time for these guys. One of the two. But I'm more like the Panthers defense here than I do like the Bengals. Their offense looks a lot flatter without Jamar Chase, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean obviously they laid an egg here, but I mean I think in that second half they did look a bit better. Start to put some points on the board. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I do get your point here with the Panthers defense, and honestly, since like Baker going out, since trading McCaffrey, this Panthers team has looked better, like a lot better actually.
You get Matt Rule out of the picture, and I guess they figure it out. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of stuff does spark a team. At the very least, new leadership think you're thinking about the game plan a different way. You can't always voice your you can't voice your opinions as a coordinator or like in whatever kind of interim coach you are until you get to take those reins. You can't say, "Hey, Matt Rule doesn't know anything. We're going to do it this way." It's get him out of the picture, think about football in a new way, and it can really enlighten these guys. So I don't know, definitely a bounce back game for the Bengals
The
here.
Bengals aren't going to lose though. I
They're
mean,
not
I could
hurt.
see the Panthers covering here, but the Bengals will
No,
not.
I think a good line for me. Like I think they're going to win by like 7. I think that's a good line to have here. Um, but we'll see. Find out. This is a good game. I'm excited to watch this one because I'm really excited to see what the Seahawks keep doing. They're so fun to watch for me. 2.5 point dogs against the Cardinals here, who since Hopkins returned, they've been feeding the ball, that's for sure, but they have not been winning. They're just so they should have. I was on the Cardinals plus 3.5. They should have covered that. They had so many mistakes. This is one of the
Oh,
worst disciplined teams in football in every dimension, offense, defense, and special teams. It was frustrating.
yeah, the muff killed them.
Yeah. Oh my God, the muff that gave all momentum back to the Vikings. For me here, I think you're gonna see a just dogfight, gunslinging match with a lot of points, tons of yardage, just a blowout in terms of passing the football. Obviously, spreading plastic can be close. I think the Cardinals are going to win this one for very little reason. I think they played well against the Vikings, but too many turnovers. This Seahawks defense is solid, but they don't force a ton of turnovers. They just play really sound football, um, at least in the front seven phase. But something just tells me that divisional matchup at home, if you can give it to me with under 3 points, I usually side that way in an even matchup here. And I think Hopkins is a big game, but that's just me spitballing. You can't deny how good the Seahawks look this year, and you've been on it before I was. So I'll let you talk more about these guys, and it's going to be a good game. This will be a fun one.
I mean, yeah, you make a lot of good points. Like these two teams are very, very similar. Just love to pass the ball. Pretty weak on the defensive end, and obviously Hopkins has looked great since he's been back. This one was very tough for me to leave out of the card. I wanted to have the Seahawks in there so
It's so
badly.
enticing. I mean,
I just can't keep riding them every week. I do feel like they are maybe due for a letdown, but the same. I'm going to be personally betting the Seahawks in this one. Not going to be on the card, but I got to keep riding the
you
Seahawks.
do.
They've been so hot for me. I love that football team right now. Kenneth Walker had a bit of a down game last week. I think he could bounce back just against this completely suspect Arizona defense.
Yeah, what for me, like for what you say about the Seahawks, or sorry, what do you say about the Falcons? Like I'm saying the same exact things word for word about the Seahawks. Like they're both leading their division, and I think they're both due for a letdown. At least in the long term, then more so the Seahawks for me. But you can't deny how good they've been playing. They're the fourth best ranked offense in football right now. So the run, Kenneth Walker's been a blessing, and Geno Smith is balling out. So if they're the same thing with the Falcons, for me, if they keep playing the way they're playing, then this 2.5 looks great. But something tells me
Very
it's not going to happen. Yeah, that's just me. But objectively, 2.5 looks great. I think the Cardinals did impress me against the Vikings. I think that they had even a chance to win that game. Too many mistakes. Tighten up a little bit for the Cardinals. They're going to cover that 2.5, in my opinion. This did not surprise me at all here to see the Chiefs so favored against the Titans, despite the Titans being really good this year. They are what are they, 5-2?
Are they really?
They're 5-2. They're looking really good this year after starting out but they might have started out 1-1 so they're hot. And the reason why is it's always been Mike Vrabel. All the roads lead back to Mike Vrabel. He is one of, if not the best coach of football, with what he's done year in and year out, with the talent that he's had. And his consistency is insane. His game planning is great. I love his defensive mindedness. He just gets football. I love the guy. But the fact is, a rookie quarterback is not going to go into Kansas City the way they're playing this season and beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And that's really all I'm going to say about this game. Except one more thing. Vrabel game planning is going to try to keep as close as he can. And the way he's going to do that is just a heavy dose of Derrick Henry and a ton of play action. That is going to be their formula to win this game. And if Derrick Henry can eat the way he ate last week, it's going to be a little bit closer. That being said, there is no way in hell Malik Willis outduels Pat Mahomes and wins this game.
Yeah, no, I mean, Malik Willis did not look good in his debut.
No.
I mean, Derrick Henry put the team on his back, and they still only scored like 17 points.
No, it's the Texans. They're terrible. And everything.
17 points. He had like over 200 yards. Like, yeah, I mean, there's just no way they beat the Chiefs in this one.
There's a learning curve in the NFL. He's behind the learning curve being, his first start. So give him some time, but this is a really tough matchup for him to be going in this game. Last game we're going to talk about, Slee. This one is going to be a good one, especially I hope to see Roquan in purple this game. Ravens on the road, 3-point favorites against the Saints. I was thinking about this is a tough game for me to predict because I think this is a great spread. Saints are really good, obviously, against the Raiders, albeit bad football team. But I think the Saints match up really well with Kamara and Taysom Hill here. I think they're going to have a really good time running the ball against the Ravens. But that was before I thought that before they had Roquan Smith. Huge addition to this front seven. Really good. I think that gives the Ravens the edge to cover this 3 points and win this game. But what do you think?
No, I absolutely think the same thing here. I was originally still leaning the Ravens' way. Just didn't love having -3 on the road.
It's tough.
Especially with them laying a couple eggs here and there.
Saints are a tough team. Tough team to read. The highs are high, lows are low.
Lamar has
been well since Dalton started.
And yeah, even with Dalton and that Saints offense, I mean, they're still ranked one of the top offenses, the Saints are, even though you wouldn't exactly expect it.
They're averaging like over 30 points a game when he's starting a quarterback. Maybe a little bit less time. They got 24. But I think the Ravens here, Lamar Jackson, baby. He's the name of the game.
I think they start pulling away in that division and just really making themselves a clear playoff.
I hope so. I think with the addition of Roquan Smith, they established themselves as the third best team in the AFC behind obviously the Chiefs and Bills. So I like this one -3 here. Moving on before we wrap up to our card preview. Again, partner with Prize Picks. Use the code ProPicks and you'll get a deposit match up to $100. Quick review here. Jags money line, probably our weakest pick. I think we both agree here in our card, but I'm going to stand by it. Chargers -3. We're looking for that continual mean regression. I think that's the best point you made for me against the Falcons. Coming off a bye week too, and they're going to need to win this one if they want to keep in pace with the Chiefs in this AFC playoff picture. Commanders here, trap game against the Vikings here. I like the Commanders on the positive side of the trap game. Rams here. I like the matchup. Tough on paper with Tom Brady, but matchups all make sense. And then my Loxley, well, I'm telling you, I haven't felt this good about it. Just a straight bet all year. I love this Packers -3. Love it. Any final remarks? We got a minute.
You sold me on the Packers. I'll take them too. I'll ride with you this week, but let's keep it going. Nothing 2 units. So
I'm gonna get bashed. If the Packers don't win this one, I'm gonna get bashed in the comments, and rightfully so.
The Commanders don't hurt me again, man.
We got this. It's gonna be a great card. It's gonna be a great card. All right. Best of luck with your picks and betting in week 9, everybody.